Welcome to Eye on the Illini. This is Mike Kegley here with Kedrick Prince. Ked, this was a game that Illinois did what they're supposed to do. One of the features of a really good coach is that they win the games they're supposed to win. Brad Underwood is starting to establish that, over his tenure at Illinois. This is the type of game that under John Gross, we'd be biting our nails till the very end. And under Brad, these things turn into blowouts.
Who's John Gross? Just kidding. You're right. If John Gross was coaching this team, the Little Rock, Arkansas probably would have scored 55 points and Illinois would have had 75. But no, I'm being sarcastic. That's a guy from the past. But there's not a lot to really take away from this. From this game, they did what they had to do. Now the schedule gets serious. Now it's time to get down to business, and they're going to have to play, and they're going to have to, now show how good they are. We've talked about it all non-conference. We talked about the summertime and the fall. Now the schedule gets tougher, and they're going to have to go out and show people that they can beat some of these teams. It does you no good to have all these great games if you can't win some of them. So, the one good thing is that they get Tennessee at home, but that's not a guarantee. But I thought last year when Illinois went to Tennessee, they definitely had the advantage of being at home. So still try to get one of these if possible.
Yeah, this was a game that I think everybody knew that Little Rock was going to have a problem scoring. I think people thought they would be a little bit better on the defensive end and be able to try to push the Illini, but Illinois, these guys are growing up, not a finished product yet. But as we told you, there's going to be good days and bad days with a young team. This was a good day as they basically came out and really played well at the start. Didn't let any hope get into the opponent, and really every time they needed something, they kept pushing. I thought it was a game that that it's good to see this behavior in a group of young kids.
Mike, you're right. And I do believe, I think they were missing one of their best players. I will admit that, but it wouldn't have made a difference of, 92 to 34. It happened, and it was going to happen. But you're right. We talked about it at halftime. One of the things that I liked was how guys got out and got going early. Cus Bears had 21 points and 6 rebounds and 5 assists, and he was 3 or 4 from the three-point line. I've been saying it forever. The day he starts making jump shots, the game is going to become different, because now you have to literally go out and guard him. So if Arkansas is watching this game tonight and they're scouting him, the scouting report may be a little bit different, because now you have to go out and guard him. And he's proven he can put the ball on the floor. You follow him, he's a really decent free throw shooter. So, but I just think the role players, and when I mean role players, and I shouldn't say that because, anybody can lead the team in scoring, but guys like Trey White, it was good to see him get going. They need him, because you're not going to get, 25 and 20 points from the same guys every night. So it was really, really good to see, Trey get out. He had, 16 points, and he got off 12 shots tonight, which was really, really nice. And for some reason, Mike, let me ask you, why do people just not give Ivica his due? The guy has 16 and 11, and he plays 24. He played 24 minutes tonight. He has probably been the most productive guy they've had since they started playing basketball.
Certainly the most productive in the paint since Kofi was there dunking on everybody. And I don't know what it is, but I've seen a lot of people, bagging on Tomislav, and I don't understand it. And I actually think when you put him and Morez together with the productivity that Morez puts out there, I mean, you combine those two, and that is just unbelievable, because, Ivica had 11 rebounds and Morez matched him. You don't hear about that, but it had Morez, just had one more shot roll around in the lane, he'd have had his second double-double in a row. And right now, he's kind of an afterthought in terms of the scouting report, et cetera. I think, as he gets better, this team is going to have so many different options. And you think, Rickhouse is probably going to get online, as well and start playing better. This is going to be a team that's hard to stop. And I just think that's what you need. And I thought, Will Riley for the first time missed a couple shots.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, here we're talking about he missed a couple shots and he had 13 points, and again, a couple rebounds and assist, no turnovers. For a freshman, he's just playing quite well.
He is, and he's obviously one that, when you look at the all freshman team nationally, if he continues this pace, he should definitely make the all freshman team, definitely in the Big Ten. But we know Rutgers has two outstanding freshmen as well. But when you look at the top 5 or 6 freshmen in the country, 3 of them are in the Big Ten. So and Bailey and who I forget, this slips my mind. The guy from the Bulls, I think I should know that, and Will Riley. But they're just 2 of the top guys that's in the conference. His dad played for the Bulls. I don't know why I can't think.
Yeah. But think about what happened though. As good as they are, and this is why when you hear me say you never turn down a W. This team, the Illini, went out and they won 92-34 in a game they should have won by a lot. They did. Meanwhile, Rutgers is coming off a defeat to Kennesaw State. So that is what you have when you recruit a balanced roster. You got good coaching, and your players are developing. Now, Illinois is going to have a rough night. We know they are, and we hope it's not this Thursday. But this is part of that growth that really I find so fascinating. And I'll tell you why I find it fascinating, Ked, because the basketball season is longer than any other season. You start playing, you start the games in November, you play till April. You've got practice ahead of that. You've got the preseason, then you've got the conference, and then you play the big tournament at the end. I love watching the journey as these players start figuring things out. And I think Illinois is on that journey, but they've got a lot to learn, and the Big Ten's right around the corner.
It really is. And to get the name right, it's Dylan Harper. Sorry. But you're right. You know what? It's right around the corner. But I just, from the seeding standpoint in the tournament, because we know they're going to be a tournament team, what they do in the non-conference schedule is huge because they play the SEC is arguably in the Big Ten, but if you look at the rankings, they're the best conference. If you look at it based off rankings, you need to win some of these games, and then you hope, like Bruce Weber was saying, that all the teams who are in your conference win these games because then that gives you higher ratings when it comes to seeding in the tournament. That's why all these games matter. And you're right, losing to Kennesaw State was huge. It was a good game, but that's a bad loss. No matter how you look at it, that doesn't sit well for the conference. And it was a road game. I mean, in a little small environment and a little small gym, but it bit them in the butt. So, for all the people out there who think, this is a cupcake win for Illinois, even though I called it that as well, you can lose these games because you could be like Rutgers, because Rutgers is ranked, or they were ranked, prior to that game.
Well, and again, that I think is the part where, you when you rely so heavily on freshmen, you could pay, and what really I think when you look at what Jeff Alexander along with Orlando, Antigua, and Brad Underwood pulled off by bringing in a couple of guys who, yes, they're not old men, but Jakuncijonas and Ivisic, now you've got some guys who've got some experience. So yeah, they aren't exactly old guys, but they're not young guys totally to go along with Will Riley and Morez Johnson. And so you can have a rough night, but they're probably a little less likely to have it from those two, and they can help pull the other guys along. And then when you include, you've got older gentlemen like Trey White, Rickhouse, Boswell. That's the blend that Underwood talks about that is good to keep this team, going along, because there's high expectations. I know there's a joke if you go on to the Illini guys message boards. There's one of the crazier posters who calls it the curse, of the 30-point streak that Illinois had put on them by our friends at UConn. And this time they came close to breaking it, got into the 20s. So maybe Illinois will get a scoreless streak sometime this year of 30 points to get beyond that. And that's part of the things we have at Illini guys is we have message boards where all of our members can interact. And of course they can also ask Brad, Ked, Larry, Matt, myself questions and have a two-way conversation, not just read something and then wonder what somebody meant and not have any way of finding out. I do think that mix of the roster and Underwood's JUCO experience is paying off in this NIL transfer portal era.
Mike, I'm going to tell you something. You mentioned something at the start of this that statement that you just made and how deep this roster is. Let's break this down. Rickhouse had 3 points. He was 1 of 6 from the field. Kylan Boswell had 3 points. He shot 1 field goal. So, but what happens, you have a guy like Ibisevic who was solid. Trey White stepped up. And Caspera stepped up. And then you had Will Riley. And you just mentioned Morez Johnson was 1 point away from a double-double. So they can afford to have guys that have bad nights because for the most part, great Kylan Boswell didn't score the way he has been the last couple of games. But you know what? He had 7 assists tonight. And I think they always rebound well. I mean, they always go to the glass. So, and they were 85% from the free throw line, 22 of 26. Can't complain about that at all. There's no complaints there. But my point is, you can have nights when you have guys that who aren't themselves. But what you can have is 4 or 5 of your starters do that. That can't happen. So, but you saw tonight was great. Like I mentioned, Caspera's had a career high tonight. I mean, 21 points. And, my big thing is, like I said, I want to see him knock down the jump shots. And he was 8 for 8 from the free throw line. And the technical foul, I didn't mind it. I know some people probably frowned on it. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. No, and I left that the comment on there that Purdue's the big dog for now in the Big Ten. I totally agree with that because they've been the champions with Zach Edey. And now I don't know what team will step up. It could be Purdue. They could maintain and be the number 1 team in the Big Ten. Or you may see some other team step up. You look, Illinois looks like they could be pretty good. We talked a little bit about Rutgers from a talent standpoint. And certainly while I'm a little bit wondering if Indiana can shoot from outside, they still have a boatload of talent on that team. And I think again, not that their rosters are totally put together, but Michigan's got a good roster. I'm still not certain all the pieces fit. And I am cautiously optimistic about that Ohio State team that I think has talent. And under Diebler, they played, I thought, much closer to their talent level than they did prior. So yeah, until somebody knocks them off their pedestal, you have to say that Purdue's number 1 but somebody may do that. And it's certainly a lot more likely that Purdue's going to get knocked backwards when they don't have a certain 7'5" aircraft carrier in the middle who arguably was the best center in college basketball since Shaq O'Neal.
You know what? Until Purdue played Alabama, this has nothing to do with the Illinois game. I was not sold on Purdue. I wasn't. I didn't see it. I was being harsh on them, but they are good. They are one of the better teams, and they have. I think Matt Painter's done what Brad Underwood's done, even though Matt Painter's been there longer. He just has a really good system in place that he recruits to his system, and they look really, really good. I mean, and they are the cream of the crop right now, but Illinois has always been on their toe. So it's not like Illinois is 3rd or 4th. It's been Illinois and Purdue for the most part. And I'm going to tell you a team that I am not sold on is Michigan State. They cannot shoot to save their lives. They didn't shoot well at home. It's not jet lag. This is one of Tom Izzo's teams. And I'm not certain that they're going to get in the tournament this year. The Big Ten is going to be rugged. I know they won today against Colorado, but Colorado hasn't been great. We'll see what they do against Memphis tomorrow, but I'm not sold on them. I think Wisconsin, if there was a surprise team, is Wisconsin for me. I
Yep.
think they look really, really good. Iowa doesn't show me anything this year. And the Southern, I think out of the West Coast schools, UCLA and Oregon look the best to me, regardless of where they're ranked. And Penn State is always sleeping on somebody where they're going to make it tough for somebody. But looking at all the teams play right now, I would still say Illinois is in the top three. I really would. I would say Illinois, Indiana, and Purdue in the top three, and Michigan State would drop. And it's hard to say because Izzo's been great, but I think the knock on him, from my understanding from a lot of people, they were a little disappointed with him and how he went out and didn't attack the portal. They don't have guys that can shoot. They just don't. I mean, and you can't make guys become shooters. It's not in their card. If it's not there, it's not there.
I agree. There's a flow to a shot that you either have or you don't have, and it doesn't have to look good. There's guys who got herky-jerky shots, but they make it. And then there's a confidence to go out there and take that shot. And if you don't have the flow and you don't have the confidence, I think it's hard to develop you into a consistent scorer. And I do think I don't know. It's almost like Izzo wants to say, I think he wants to be the old man, screaming at a cloud. I'm not going to use this dang portal and this NIL, and I'm not going to play this 3-point game. But the fact of the matter is if a team like Illinois, or any team, to be really honest with you, is shooting enough threes at a high enough rate and then making layups, you're going to lose if you try to go inside and just play the standard 1980s, 1990s basketball.
You are, and it's tough because I've been, next to Illinois, I've been a big fan of Tom Izzo. I lost a lot of respect for them a few years ago when Io got hurt up at East Lansing. I've kind of backed off a little bit, but he runs good sets. He runs good offense. He still pushes the ball. But you're right, and this isn't us just assuming. I know because of some people I'm connected to within the Michigan State program. It's not just the fans. A lot of the players, parents and players are upset. They should have went out and got guys, but that's not Izzo's thing. And, if you don't adapt to the game and the way it's changed, it's going to bite you. It's going to bite you in the butt. And I think this year, that was it 26, 22 years on winning streak of going to the Big Dance, it might be in jeopardy. If he gets in, it may be because of his name and the strength of the conference. I don't see them going on the road and beating anybody right now. I don't, in the top half of that Big Ten, not the teams that we just mentioned. They don't shoot it well enough. I think they shoot it 22% from the three. And not only just that, their field goal percentage in general is just awful.
Yeah, I agree. And again, the straight up construction of the team looks like Izzo's trying to show that he can do it differently than anybody else. And I just think, there's certain directions that you can go. And I guess in the NFL, we're starting to see the running back become more important. The teams that have really good running backs are starting to have, because the passing offense has been at least started to be caught up on a little bit, and you see trends back and forth, and maybe with Zach Edey and other big guys, going into the NBA, maybe they will stop being such an emphasis on the 3-point play. But right now, if you're not good at shooting the three and you don't have the personnel you need when you're recruiting and you have to get somebody to shoot the three and you're not going to do that, I think it's going to be tough. Now, I would never bet on Izzo to not make the tournament because, like you said, he's got a lot of ancillary factors that help him out a lot, including his name. And he's a good coach. He'll get that team to go, 11 and 9 or something like that. And, as long as he can get them in at a winning record, they'll probably get into the tournament this year.
And nobody's going to say anything to him, but the people are going to start to complain. And, the same thing, I know we're talking basketball. I hear that with Iowa, with Kirk Ferentz. And, people are starting to say, okay, this is becoming really boring. And I know Wisconsin fans aren't happy with the hire that they have, which is why, to me, kudos to Josh Whitman. He's he's done a really good job of putting coaches in the Illinois program that's going to give them the best chance to win. And he's always one step ahead. I mean, because you never know what's going to happen from year to year, and it appears like he always has a plan. You know, a minus in his back pocket if something goes wrong. So, but right now, just the program, you know, it's in a great place. Brad Underwood, you know, is now in the top 5 winningest coaches in the program. He's tied for 5th, you know, with 148 wins, and you know, Bruce Weber's in 3rd place with 210 wins. You know, Brad's done a really, really good job. When he took the job, he wanted to be home and prove that Illinois was relevant again, and he did that. No matter what happens from this point on, Illinois is relevant again, and you know how that's true. Thanksgiving Day, they're playing on Thanksgiving Day on CBS. There could have been a lot of games and a lot of teams that they put on in that situation, but it's Illinois, so it's in a good place. Enjoy it, you know, because we can always find things to complain about. Every one of us can find things to complain about, but that does you no good.
Yeah, and I did want to give everybody a little reminder here. Twitter is such a beautiful thing. This is the 23rd anniversary of Jim Mora going playoffs. I somehow that's one of my favorite ones, and God bless the people from Carrier, you know, the air conditioning company, because they have to be so happy that this one quote with their logo behind them is out there forever. So any other things that jump out at you after this game? I mean, this again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, folks. This was a game that Illinois came out. They took care of business against a team they should have beat, but they did it in really thorough fashion and quite brutally, which is what you want out of your team. They won with class, but they basically pile drove this team and took them out, and that was that. And Brad Underwood, he's not going to tell him he's happy, but I'd be pretty happy with this win. And then, you know, you've got to be ready to turn on the switch, because Arkansas is going to be bigger, stronger, and faster, and you're going to have to adapt pretty quickly. I am a little worried about the first 5 minutes of that game as you re-up to a big time team in terms of the competitive level.
Well, to close it with this, what I liked about today's game, they gave up 34 points. Okay, let's look. I think that's tied for State Farm record. Even though Little Rock didn't shoot the ball well, that's number one. I've always been a big proponent of them getting up into the 90s trying to score 100 points. I know a lot of people did not see the Alabama game, but Alabama, Coach Underwood, what he calls a dork. They didn't guard their 4-man or didn't guard a player. They let a guy, which I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing, who shot 26% from 3. He started the game 4 or 5 from 3. I don't know if Arkansas is going to do that. I know Illinois is going to come out to play. Brad Underwood's teams always come out to play. I'm not saying that they win games, all the games, but they typically don't come out flat. They don't do that. So I know they'll be prepared to play. They ran into a buzzsaw early. And after that, they kind of fizzled off. But, you know, Illinois missed free throws and missed layups. That's why it was a game that was there for the taking. If they didn't get off to that hot start, it might have been a different outcome. Now, if Arkansas gets off to a hot start, then shame on me. But I like their chances this time. It's in Kansas City. I really do believe that they have a legitimate chance at winning this game. They just have to do the little things that they've been doing right now. Yeah, they're stepping up in competition, but they've seen it now, and they know what to expect. They've seen it twice. So the speed shouldn't be a concern. The size shouldn't be a concern. Illinois can put out multiple lineups and play multiple styles of basketball.
Yeah, I agree totally. And I really think it will be a fantastic game. Now, we will do, even though, Ken and I will probably be really full of tryptophan. We're planning on doing a Illini Guys halftime live show. We may have to suck it up because I eat a lot of food on Thanksgiving. And then, of course, Brad Sturdy will be at the game. We will do a post game podcast as well. So even on a national holiday, we will be trying to do our best to make the holiday special for Illini fans across the country. And then, of course, we will be right back at it on Saturday as we look for the Fighting Illini football team to go 9-3. And not that I'm trying to be negative, but this has been a wonderful football season. But folks, when you hear people, down in Alabama and Ole Miss saying, "Well, we got 3 losses, we should be in the national title talk," you wonder if Illinois had beat Minnesota and be sitting there at 10-2 with as many top 25 wins as the Illini have, and then their only 2 losses would be to the number 1 and number 4 or number 5 team in the country. It would be we might be looking at Illinois being in the CFP. So it is, while we are so excited with what Brad Underwood is doing for the for the basketball program, you have to look at Brett Bielema and say, he's done an amazing job over there. And one really hopes that with a good closeout and a bowl game, maybe that is foundational in helping the Illini do 2 things in basketball. 1, attract more NIL funds, and 2, attract the attention and imagination of kids who want to play for a winning team and would like to have an opportunity to be developed so that you can make it to the NFL.
Looking at the entire athletic program, when you look at the Big Ten Network, FS1, CBS Sports, when they show rankings, that eye is on there for the football program, men's basketball program, not this week, but typically it has been in the women's program. That sells. That lets people know that your program is trending upward. And it is. And it's not because we're covering the sport. Some people still struggle with it. I was talking to my son, and he was telling me that one of his best friends, a Michigan guy, and they still struggle with the fact that Illinois is relevant again. It's not what it once was. It's not the days, like I mentioned, that I've wrote about multiple times, when you're going to get beat 69-0. Sure, they're going to lose some games, and it might happen, but that's not going to be the norm. What I like about what I see with the Illinois programs, and those 3 that I mentioned, the women's program, the men's program, and basketball and football, every chance they take the field or court, they have a chance to win. That's the ultimate feeling, covering a team, and if you're a fan, to know that your team has a chance to win. Because realistically, I don't know if Illinois is going to beat Northwestern. They should, and I hope they do. But I know in the back of Northwestern's mind, they're probably thinking this is another L. It's going to be cold out. Why go to the game? Illinois fans are licking their chops trying to go 9-3. That's the difference right now in the programs from what I see, or the State Farm Center is sold out, and then it's disappointing with Iowa football. You go to a football game and it's sold out, and you look at the basketball program and they try to hide the fans because people aren't going anymore. That's the difference in what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's great. So, folks, we will end it. We'll wrap up here. Of course, you can see below IlliniGuys.com, 27 cents a day, $99 a year. You get our stories early. You obviously don't. You get them in their entirety. The other on the internet, many times they're paywall blocked. And most importantly, you get the message boards that you can talk to Brad, Ked, Matt, Larry, myself, and have a 2-way relationship. And to be honest with you, there's many subscribers that we actually know pretty close, and we will actually see them at Illini Guys functions before football and basketball games. You want to join something where you're a member and you really build some friendships. That's what our community does. If you want to just watch something from afar, you can do that too. You don't have to participate, but what makes it a lot of fun is a lot of us met here at Illini Guys when we were a member of another board where we all got to be friends. So it's pretty amazing. We're trying to get that culture back at Illini Guys. We'd love to have more people subscribe, go onto the front page, and be looking for our Black Friday special that will be out on Friday. So that would be something you could take a look at. There might be some promotions out there that you could either get something or save a couple dollars. And I think you will enjoy that as well. Perfect time to join the Illini Guys. And we'd love to have you. Of course, look for our podcast. the Illini Guys Sports Spectacular. That's our 2-hour Illini-centric radio show that's on 20-plus stations in the state of Illinois. It also comes out on podcast. Our 2-hour Big Ten show, Big Sports Radio. You can get that on podcast. Subscribe to both of those. You can get my heat checks and Hail Marys every Sunday or Monday night, where I kind of go over what happened that week in sports. That you can also subscribe to. And of course, Eye on the Illini that you are listening or watching right now. And finally, if you go to IlliniGuys.com, if you have the appropriate IlliniGuys.com on YouTube, you can go to our channel. And if you have the appropriate courage levels, you can actually watch us on video instead of just listening to us. We're constantly mystified why anybody would want to do that, but we're happy that you do. And we try to put much of our stuff out there so you can get pieces from a video standpoint if that is more of how you enjoy doing it. With that, we will be back on Turkey Day. You'll see Ked and I fighting off the effects of tryptophan and trying to keep ourselves awake during an exciting Illini game. And of course, if that isn't good enough for you, we'll be back on Saturday. And hopefully, if things go well, it'll be a couple wins in a couple days and a lot of fun. Until then, folks, go Illini.